Right now, Jordan Love is the reliable one, and Matt LaFleur is the guy we have questions about. He's got to catch up for this team to go make a Super Bowl run.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts. You will find Locked On Packers, the #1 Packers podcast on the internet, and the show for fans who know what happened. They want to know why and how, thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen every day. We hope you like starting your day with us as much as we like starting our day with you. Right now, new customers with FanDuel can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. We're going to get to the Tucker Kraft part. We have to start with Matt LaFleur, because the discussion happening this week around the Green Bay Packers is Matt LaFleur focused. And what I realized as I was combing through all of the criticisms, all of the pros, all of the cons of Matt LaFleur, was that for all of the adaptations that he's made in this offense, and they have been myriad, from early Aaron Rodgers and adapting that system, giving him the freedom at the line of scrimmage in a system that did not previously afford that sort of freedom at the line of scrimmage, to then the under center play action. I wrote about a lot of this today at The Leap. And then readapting it, retweaking it for Jordan Love, and then doing it again. And then, when the injuries happen, and Malik Willis, and all of the different permutations that we've seen of this offense. Jordan Love right now is the more reliable person as a member of this offensive structure. He is more reliable than Matt LaFleur. It's still a wonderfully designed offense, but it is not a wonderfully called offense. The game calling, the decision making, it's not up to par, and the structure, the philosophy here is just not where it needs to be. Jordan Love has taken a material, and I would say significant, step forward in his development this season. I know everyone wants to act like he's Jameis Winston, but we're talking about a player that has 3 interceptions this season. And in terms of turnover-worthy plays, he's got a lower turnover-worthy play rate. So we can count dropped interceptions. So that pass in the end zone counts. His turnover-worthy play rate this season is lower than 2-time MVP Lamar Jackson, multi-time MVP and Super Bowl winner Patrick Mahomes, first month MVP Baker Mayfield, and everyone's favorite franchise quarterback CJ Stroud. Jordan Love is putting the ball in harm's way less often than those guys. 70% completion percentage, all the good numbers. This is the number one explosive play offense in the NFL. And by EPA per dropback, the number 1 offense. 3rd in success rate. So it's not just explosive plays. They can get the ball from point A to point B. Bang, bang, bang. What this offense is not doing right now is setting this team up for consistent success. It is, and this is a criticism that I've had. The early down play calling is still a mess. It is still too philosophically conservative. And that permeates everything you do, right? Dan Campbell wanting to go for it. And it says something about this Detroit Lions team and the culture that Dan Campbell has, that they have become the measuring stick. It's not the Packers anymore. It's Dan Campbell. They have produced, since Dan Campbell has been the head coach, more excess value going forward on fourth down than any team in the NFL since Dan Campbell has been the head coach. And that team still runs the ball a ton. You can be an aggressive mentality, a philosophically aggressive team, and still run the ball. The Packers are riding that line of work conservative for conservative's sake. That's their mentality. And it played out on Sunday. 25 early down passes, 24 early down runs. And the passing game is just so much better. You cannot be a heavy run offense if you cannot generate explosive plays in the run game. The Lions are a heavy run game team. They can generate explosives. The Eagles are a heavy run game team. They generate explosives in the run game, and they're the best short yardage team in the NFL. If it's 3rd and 3, they're getting a first down. So this team right now, 24th in first down pass rate. That is just not going to work. And we're going to talk about Tucker Kraft and what that means for this offense. The number one thing, with or without Tucker Kraft, that this offense needed to do better was be more aggressive, philosophically more aggressive with the way that they're passing the ball. This has to become Jordan Love's offense. And Matt LaFleur needs to understand that whether Jordan Love is Aaron Rodgers or not, and I'm going to lean not, though I did point out that in 2010, midway through the season, Aaron Rodgers had 9 interceptions. Jordan Love has 3 interceptions right now. Like, Jordan Love is on pace to have, for the 3rd year in a row, a year better by all the metrics than the 2010 season that Aaron Rodgers had. It's easy to forget now that Aaron Rodgers was not Aaron Rodgers. Like, the irony of Aaron Rodgers becoming Aaron Rodgers, like Aaron freaking Rodgers, is that one of his worst statistical seasons was the year they won the Super Bowl. Now, they had better pass catchers than this current team. They had an elite defense that was full of playmakers. The Packers have a handful of playmakers that have just not, like Evan Williams on the 19-yard run out of his gap, got suckered by the split zone play action. Or the tight end slicing across the field, that action. Jordan Love is capable of doing more. And Matt LaFleur has to call this offense like he is capable of doing more. Right now, the power dynamic has shifted. When Jordan Love started, and even like I am one of Jordan Love's number 1 defenders and supporters, probably second to like Ty Dunn and then members of his immediate family. But even I can admit in 2023, that offense needed to be something different. It needed to be, you needed Aaron Jones. But then when Aaron Jones was hurt in the middle of the year and they couldn't run the ball, they had to get in spread, they had to get in empty and just let Jordan Love pick teams apart. And he did it. That was when he looked like the best quarterback in the NFL. Played from week 10 on like the best quarterback in the NFL. Well, here they are again. And you have to call the offense like that's the team you have. And I've seen this point made a number of times, and I will echo it here. Matt LaFleur has to call the offense for the players and the team he has, not the players and the team he wish he had. Like, there's part of me that thinks if Matt LaFleur had his druthers, that he would love to call 17 games like week 2 and week 3 last year, where don't really take any chance, like take a couple chances with the ball down the field, hunt explosives, and then just get totally crazy with the run game. Like, I really think he would love to call all the games exactly like that. He is an old school coach by mentality. And that is what has to change. And he's capable of doing it. We've seen it. And we've seen other coaches change. He has to start trusting the numbers on fourth down. And he has to embrace the modern game that says throwing the ball is better when you have a good passing game than running the ball. Now, you look at the most run-heavy teams in the league, Seattle, Detroit, Green Bay, they're 3 of the best offenses in the NFL. No doubt about that. But the Lions, again, they have Jahmyr Gibbs. They can create explosives in the run game. Now the Seahawks less so, but they have been wildly efficient. And I think those numbers are going to regress at some point. Wildly efficient pushing the ball down the field. They are not going to continue to be that efficient throwing the ball. I mean, Sam Darnold started the game, 16 of 16? I mean, setting records to start the game. Now, not that different than Jordan Love, 20 straight completions. Matt LaFleur has to get up to speed with the offense that he has, and he has to become as reliable as Jordan Love has become in this offense, or they're just not going to get to where they need to get to. Because they just, especially without Tucker Kraft and this offensive line not playing well enough, they need Matt LaFleur to be part of the solution. And right now, not that Jordan Love has been perfect, but Matt LaFleur has been a bigger problem this year than Jordan Love. That has to change. Now, what do they do without Tucker Kraft? We'll talk about that next. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. That's where BILT comes in. BILT is changing the game by turning your rent payments into real rewards you can actually use. When you pay rent through BILT, you can earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward hundreds of hotels, airlines, and future rent payments even, your next Lyft ride, and more. But BILT isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you around your entire neighborhood. I paid rent for a long, long time. And it really isn't any fun. But for a long time, I couldn't put it on a credit card. Can't get points for it. BILT is changing that paradigm. Turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbilt.com, BILT, /LockedOnNFL. That's JOINBILT.com /LockedOnNFL. Make sure to use the link so they know we sent you. So what are the Packers going to do now that Tucker Kraft has torn his ACL and is out for the season? I wrote about this today for The Leap, so I don't want to rehash all of those options, some of the things we talked about. But I look at this team and I go, okay, what are you losing from Tucker Kraft? Well, blocking. Well, the Packers have been excellent. The 5th team in the league by EPA per play when using 12 personnel, and they were in 12 personnel with 2 tight ends on the field, like 40% of the time, a shade under 40%. You're just not going to be able to do that anymore because the combination, like John Fitzpatrick is just not good enough as a blocker to offset what you're losing with Tucker Kraft when you have Luke Musgrave on the field too, because Luke Musgrave is just not good enough. When it was Kraft and Musgrave on the field together, you have 2 guys who can be threats in the passing game. When you put Fitzpatrick and Kraft on the field, you've got 2 guys who are good enough in the run game as blockers that you can move some bodies, that you can handle it. This team has actually, and I was surprised when I looked this up, they've actually increased their success rate this year from a shade under 42% to 45+% this year in the run game. Now, they have not created the explosives that they did last year. Marshawn Lloyd was supposed to help with that, but you also lose Jaden Reed. He created run game explosives. You're missing that. Malik Willis, he created some run game explosives. You're missing that. Jordan Love has created some run game explosives this year, but those are just going to be fewer and further between. What you need to be able to do is attack the middle of the field and attack the seam. This offense this year has been the number 1 offense attacking the middle of the field by EPA per play, or at least they were coming into Sunday. They have not of late been great attacking the intermediate part of the field from 10 to 19. Jordan Love has a passer rating over 150 when attacking the intermediate parts of the field. They have just not done it at a high level this last month and a half. That has to change. I think they have the players to do it, though. We saw Luke Musgrave on that sail route. That's where he can win. Seam routes, corner routes, runaway routes, where he's, these big benders, overs, basic routes. He has the speed to do that. Remember early in the season, before he hurts, in a freak accident, he has to be the field stretcher for this team because Christian Watson was dealing with an injury. They didn't have Matthew Golden yet. And so Jaden Reed, he can be that seam stretcher. He's starting to work back, but like Matt LaFleur was asked yesterday if he's close, and he was basically like, define close. Like he's going to start doing some more things. He's been working rehab on the side, but like that collarbone is probably still a month away from being ready for contact. So you got to play some real games before then. My guess is Jayden Reed's goal is Thanksgiving. More realistically, I think is the following week when you get 10 days off after that first week in December. That seems like the more likely situation for Jayden Reed, but that means you've got to find some things over the next couple games. The 52-yard play from Christian Watson. To me, he is the key to all of this. Put Christian Watson in the slot. That does a couple different things. Number one, if you're going to play all these two high shells, you're going to play quarters, you're going to play cover six. The way you attack, and this was a big argument recently on social media. Maybe you missed it. I hope you missed it. One of the ways to attack quarters vertically is you run that number 2 receiver at the safety and make him carry that vertical. There are just maybe none. There isn't probably a safety that can run with Christian Watson down the field. Now you have to be able to protect that up. But if you run an in-breaker in front and Watson on a deep over, or even on just a go ball from the seam, from the slot, you are creating major problems for a defense. And when you are creating an opportunity to stretch the field with that safety, now you can get, if he's going to run with Christian Watson, now you've got that dig in behind. They love to run that concept with Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs on that big in, Christian Watson on the big over of the post. He can be that guy that takes a lot of those Tucker Kraft reps. Now you're going to have to find ways to attack that. They love to get into heavy personnel with 3 tight ends, 2 tight ends on the field, get them into single high and then run Tucker Kraft up the seam. Put that safety in peril. Run an in-breaker and then you have the seam route and make that safety make a decision and he can't be right. What Christian Watson in the slot also does for you is it allows Matthew Golden to play on the outside. Put those guys on the same side of the field. Get in 2-by-1. Doesn't matter who the backside guy is, though it sounds like Dontavian Wicks is going to be able to give it a go this week, or at least try to give it a go. He's going to be back at practice. It sounds like Matt LaFleur said the shoulder injury that Matthew Golden suffered is more like day-to-day, not week-to-week. So maybe we get to see him at practice this week. Getting him back this week would be huge because this is a Philadelphia Eagles team that is going to play a ton of too high, soft zone, and make them play everything underneath. You have to still be able to find ways to attack down the field, or at least make them believe you're going to attack down the field. You put Christian Watson and Matthew Golden on the same side of the field, and now you can run that safety off, and you can run that in behind to the vacated part of the field. Well, now you've got something cooking. And I think this team is going to have to lean more into 3 receiver sets. You're going to have to get that number, I think in low 70s. I think you're going to have to get that number closer to 80% of the time. They're going to have to be in 11 personnel if they want to go some of that big U71, the 6 offensive linemen. We've seen Matt LaFleur do that. They did that early in the 2023 season. Anthony Belton, love it. Love it. Put him on the field with Luke Musgrave. Now you can run the ball. And the thing that I really like about that is if you want to make a team play base because you want to attack with the linebacker, I still think you can do that with Luke Musgrave. But you put Anthony Belton on the field. Most teams are going to match with the extra linebacker. Well, that's advantage Green Bay in a running situation. Anthony Belton on a linebacker or Anthony Belton getting a double team on a defensive end, you're going to be able to get traction. You're going to be able to move bodies in a situation like that. So I think that's something that we're going to see as a part of this too. But Christian Watson to me, and we saw this in 2023, they used Watson or Musgrave as that slot seam attack player. If you get Jayden Reed back too, now you can create some of the yards after catch stuff that just let's spit the ball out to Jayden Reed and let him go make a play. All of those plays where it's just spit the ball out to Tucker Kraft, you're going to have to manufacture those opportunities. Now, they love to use that little play action slide with Christian Watson coming across on the field because he's so fast in the open field. Just get him the ball. That's 10 yards out the gate. So they have the players. I'm also reminded of 2021 when the Packers could not run teams out of two high shells. That offensive line was just not good enough. Their run game was just not good enough. They used a lot of quick passing, a lot of Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams one-on-one. Just take your matchups, because what quarters ends up being is, especially on the backside, that's just man coverage. Can you get Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks, Matthew Golden one-on-one with a corner, and now I'm just going to win on an in-breaker on a little slant or whatever it is? That 2021 team also experimented with some true four receiver sets with Adams, Lazard, Cobb, and MVS. Then Cobb got hurt, and their plan there got scuttled. For this team, pick four. Pick four. You've got six. Pick four at any given time. Put a back in the backfield, probably Chris Brooks for protection reasons, and just go. First down. Get them into nickel, and you're probably going to have a receiver on a linebacker because they're not going to play dime against you on first down. And if they do, hand the ball to Chris Brooks. He's shown enough as a runner that you can feel comfortable getting 4, 5, 6 yards in a situation like that. You have to be able to, if they're going to play dime, you have to be able to still run the ball at times. So I think the Packers have plenty of answers here. I think they have a really smart coaching staff. I think they have a lot of talent here to still make this all work. It's not the 2010 or 2011 pass catcher group by any means, but it is still a deep, explosive, dynamic group. Losing Tucker Kraft hurts your upside. But if it encourages Matt LaFleur to be more aggressive, if it encourages them to throw the ball more, remember, this is already the number one offense in EPA per dropback this season. The only team above 0.3 EPA per dropback this season. They are comfortably the number one team by EPA per dropback, even with the performance we saw on Sunday. So there's opportunities here. They have the players to do it. They just have to go do it. Now, could they seek out an opportunity in the trade market? Are there other options out there? We'll talk about that next. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. The Packers, 2.5 point favorites against the Philadelphia Eagles. The odds makers, our friends at FanDuel, not worried, not nearly as worried as Packer fans, I'll tell you that, about this Packers team. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Trade deadline is today. And I was working the phones over the last 24 hours trying to figure out if there is a real opportunity for a trade. I don't think it is more likely than not the Packers make a trade. Now, that's not to say they won't. I think when you give up a first-round pick for Micah Parsons, multiple first-round picks for Micah Parsons, you are saying this is the move. We got to figure this out. That being said, Michael Mayer would be extremely interesting to me. He is someone the Packers brought in for a pre-draft visit. Now, they had the opportunity to draft him. They did not. But they drafted Lucas Van Ness at the top of the first round. I think that just made so much more sense than Michael Mayer. And then by the time they had a chance to draft the tight end, Mayer's off the board. Brock Bowers renders Mayer not superfluous, but redundant. And I think the Raiders, if they're able to get something for him, I was told it is more likely than not that Mayer is moved. Let's think about the value. Jalen Phillips was just traded for a 3rd round pick. Now, the Eagles have likely 2. They're going to get an extra pick from the Milton Williams deal. And so they're going to have a bunch of picks in this draft regardless. Jalen Phillips is a pass rusher. Those guys get a premium. The Raiders probably want a day 2 pick for Michael Mayer, considering they used a day 2 pick on Michael Mayer. I find it hard to believe. Like these players, they are like cars. You drive them off the lot as soon as you make that pick. If you want to move on from them on a rookie deal, you're not going to get fair market value for them unless they are really good players, and then you're just not going to trade them unless there's some sort of contractual issue. Mayer has not shown enough in the NFL, I think, to get fair market value, or at least to get what they paid back. He's not going to be like a Rolex where you buy it and it immediately appreciates in value. Not going to happen. So you offer a 3rd for Michael Mayer and a 4th. That's going to be 15 to 20 spots of draft value in the middle of the draft. That nets out as like a day 3 pick. But you feel better because you're getting a 3rd, even if you're giving a 4th back. You're getting a top 100 pick, and you're not having to pay a top 100 pick. The Packers go from, late 90s, hopefully, into the 110s or something like that. That would make sense. And then because he's on a rookie contract, you have him, and he becomes like a free agent signing for you. At this point, you're probably not going to extend Luke Musgrave. You're probably going to extend Tucker Kraft. And now you have him in the building. Maybe you move on from Luke Musgrave in a year. Maybe you trade Luke Musgrave around the draft for something, anything. And now you have Mayer and Kraft, and now you're 12 personnel. You do have 2 guys who can block and 2 guys who are weapons as pass catchers. I think Michael Mayer is going to cash out somewhere in that sort of Cole Kmet range of player. But when you already have Tucker Kraft, who is trending like he had a chance to be the best tight end in the NFL this season, that's a really valuable player to have for this team, the way Matt LaFleur wants to play. Now, you just invested a 1st round pick and a 3rd round pick in wide receivers. The future of Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks are unclear. The future of Romeo Doubs is unclear. And so maybe you feel like you've invested enough in the pass catchers to not make a move like that. Okay. You need a blocking tight end. What about someone like Mercedes Lewis, who's on the Denver Broncos practice squad? You could just go grab him. That's something that I think could make sense for the Packers. Now, if I were going to be in the trade market, we've talked about corner. Not a lot of good options out there for them. We've talked about that. Minkah Fitzpatrick is really a safety, slot, nickel kind of player, past his prime. How is he helping this Packers team? He's not going to play the boundary. And Nate Hobbs is going to miss a game because he's got an MCL injury. So this is why I think more likely than not, they do nothing. But there are some options out there if they want to add to their depth. Now, it does stink that they had to move on from Ben Sims, someone who has played real snaps for them, because they had to roster 2 kickers. And Matt LaFleur yesterday did not sound at all interested in making a kicking change. So they're still going to go with Brandon McManus. But it sounds like they're keeping Lucas Havrasek on the roster. I would not be surprised if McManus and Havrasek are both active on game day. He was inactive on Sunday, Havrasek was. If they're both active and that McManus gets the short hook. If he misses a field goal in the 30s or 40s or misses an extra point, he's out. Havrasek is in, and then you make whatever move you need to make. And maybe it is put him on IR. He's not healthy. We're going to let him get healthy. He's an older player. He needs some extra time. Let's figure that out. There are, legal, safe ways to do this. Losing someone like Ben Sims. Now you have Josh Wiley on the practice squad. He was someone that I quite liked in the draft. Maybe you just call him up and he becomes your Ben Sims And all he needs to do is be on the field and be big. Is that a great option? I don't know. We haven't seen him. In the NFL, he's not become an NFL player yet. Tight ends take time. So I'd be willing to have some patience there. We're seeing Oronde Gadsden in LA right now, what just having some physical skills and opportunity can do for you. So we'll see what direction the Packers go. I don't anticipate a trade, but that's not to say trades are not on the table at all. Back tomorrow, more here. We got Lily's Out coming. We got our squad show coming. A crossover Thursday coming. And then, of course, Monday Night Football. We'll be live after that for all the good stuff. And a normal Monday morning show, sort of getting into what happened on Sunday, how it affects the Packers. I believe they can be back at the top of the NFC, but they need some things to go right. For them, I'm not worried about the seeding right now, but this is suddenly a very bunched NFC North. With the Bears getting a win, the Vikings getting a win, like teams are trending in the right direction toward making this a very competitive conference and division. Follow me on the socials, follow the podcast on the socials, subscribe wherever you get podcasts, subscribe on YouTube so you can stay locked on Packers.